Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Psycho Gold. This is the glory that is Psycho Gold videos. No, I'm joking, but welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be checking out Shield Hero Episode 4. I'm really excited to check this out. I'm kind of annoyed at myself because there's no reason I couldn't have watched this yesterday, but I'll be honest, I completely lost track of what day it was. Didn't remember that the Shield Hero were on yesterday until much later in the evening, by which point I had already arranged to do some other stuff. If, by the way, you were one of those people who turned up for the Golf with Your Friends stream, it was hilarious. We had DeeBeeGeek, we had the Anime Panda, we had Syiance, we had my brother, we had Lobster, we had viewers joining us. I had quite a few people who hop over who said that, you know, they've come from the YouTube page because they saw me stream Resident Evil 2 and really liked it, so they've been checking out a few more of my game streams. So Resident Evil 2 is going to come back soon onto YouTube. Might even be today. I will try and schedule it so that you guys have a bit more notice, but there's something else that's been going on. There's a couple of other things actually. One is good that I'm going to be telling you about in a separate video. The other isn't, which I will be explaining in a separate video. Just needs to be said, and then I'm not going to talk about it. It's got nothing to do with YouTube. It's got nothing to do with anime, or it's stuff that is happening in the real world that I can't go into details about for reasons that will become clear when the video is made, which I'm gonna film after I've watched these anime. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. You'll see. But happy times, happy times. So Shield Hero. I really enjoyed last week's episode of Shield Hero. Obviously, I only watched it a few days ago because I was so late to that. I'm going to be checking out episode 4, and I'm very curious as to what's going to happen next. Obviously, the first wave was dealt with, so I really want to know how the world is going to respond to what happened, how Nafumi and Raftalia are going to be, how the knights are going to treat them, how the word of what he did for the villagers of Loot, I assume, is going to start, you know, spreading out, and is that going to cause friction, because some people are going to start seeing him as a good guy again, but the people who can only see him as someone who is a rapist are not going to like the fact that there are people out there who are like, well, he saved our lives when nobody else did. So I can see that causing a lot of friction amongst the kingdom, and I don't think the king is going to like that, and I especially don't think the princess and spear hero are going to like that. So let's see what happens, shall we? 3, 2, 1... Yeah, that got intense, didn't it? I'm gonna need a minute.
2 hours later.
Sorry, guys. I keep trying to collect my thoughts to talk about this episode, and I don't even know how much I'm gonna have to put into a reaction video. I mean, uncut version's easy, but man, trying to do the cut version is gonna be a nightmare, because I think I spent most of the episode just stunned. I don't know what it is. This show just pulls on my heartstrings so much. More than other shows that have done that. I'm dreading watching some of the other anime that people say are actually really emotional, like Re:Zero. Jesus H. Okay. So, I suppose a good place to start, will be with what DeeBeeGeek put up this morning, which I didn't really understand. Now I do. So, for those of you who don't follow DeeBeeGeek or didn't see it, DeeBeeGeek put up a community post here on YouTube where he basically said... Sorry, I nearly tried to do DeeBeeGeek's voice. I'm not going to do that. My boy Psycho Gold has some incredible insight into this anime. It's like he knows exactly what's happening. I cannot wait to see his thoughts on episode 4 because holy freaking crap, what an episode that was. Now, I was like, I do? Now that I've seen the episode, I didn't expect to be proven right with my theories so quickly. I would like to revel in that more if it wasn't for the fact that I'm still recovering from watching that episode itself. But, you know, I definitely called it, bro. Again, I didn't expect the literal next episode to actually show that to the audience. I thought this was going to be something that would continue to be led on for several episodes, but no. Everybody is now aware of the fact that the daughter is the daughter of the king. I don't really know what to call her because I can never remember her name, but I knew she was a princess. I didn't realize she was the princess and that the king was her dad. Obviously in the last episode I theorized that, but in this episode they flat out confirmed it, and the second they did that, my brain just went, yes, everything I said in the last episode is going to happen. I just didn't expect it to literally be proven within that 5 minutes of having that thought. The fact that Naofumi was able to put it together was really interesting, but I'm also very curious as to what exactly was happening with this shield. Now, it said that a curse requirement had been met, so does that mean that all of the weapons have, like, dark versions of their abilities? Like, there are evil powers coursing through those legendary weapons, and if you get certain requirements in the same way that you can unlock standard spells or regular good magic, for want of a better way of looking at it, that there is actually like a darker mirror version of these weapons, and Naofumi came very close to activating that particular set for the shield because of the way he was feeling. I mean, it looked like he was literally turning evil, quite frankly, and if you look at the opening credits, then that is kind of hinted at in a really big way, in that they show a much more, you know, corrupted version looking of Naofumi, and it's Raphtalia grabbing hold of him that sort of brings him back. And I think we just saw the beginning of that particular storyline starting here. Like, when Naofumi starts to really get emotional, starts to really, you know, get negative. For good reason, I might add. I'm not saying that he's just whining, but like, if he starts having this big surge of negative emotions, that it actually has physical manifestations and in-world consequences. It's not just he, you know, has a few problems to deal with in himself. The power of the shield is literally picking up on that, and it's creating like a negative feedback loop between his emotions, the shield, and it's slowly like filtering throughout his body. It is literally corrupting him into the bad guy that the kingdom kind of just wants him to be, so that they can get rid of him. Because that's what I was actually really afraid of, is that Raphtalia had just done a really good job of kind of shocking everybody into thinking that she didn't want to be freed. But instead, it would turn out that just as she was kind of starting to make people see this, Naofumi was going to stand up and do some very bad things. Basically go Prince Vegeta on everybody's ass and kind of embrace the villain role, because let's face it, he pretty much has shown that he is more than happy to do that. I mean, that's literally how the first episode went. Which, again, I don't want him to lose. I don't want him to turn into just a standard anime hero over the course of the next couple of episodes. I want him to keep his edge. I want him to keep that outsider mentality. But I am so happy that the bow hero and the sword hero finally decided to step up and be like, actually, you know what? You know, he's not wrong. There was cheating. There was outside interference, and it's pretty obvious to us, you know, the unbiased people who don't live in this planet, that there's more going on here than meets the eye. They could see the way that the princess behaved when Raphtalia didn't just immediately fall to her knees and, you know, thank her lucky stars that she's been freed. You know, she instantly called her a dirty demi-human, and, you know, some of her true colors started to show through then, and I think Bow and Sword, I wanted to say Shield then, no, not Shield, Bow and Sword picked up on that, combined with the fact that they did see the interference, but they kind of kept quiet for a while, which was interesting. They probably kept quiet because at the end of the day, they too didn't like the fact that Naofumi has a slave, which again, I said would cause problems within the group once that became knowledge, but once they saw Raphtalia's freed mind speaking, as in, no, I'm still staying with Naofumi, this was a complete waste of time, and, you know, you didn't help me like he did, and she tells the tale of what they've been doing, they're kind of like, you know what, I think we might actually be on the wrong side of this, and I'm so happy that they came and stepped in. Now, admittedly, it is really difficult if you're the shield hero, because A, you've just been told that you lost, and that's going to annoy him anyway, because he does seem very arrogant and egotistical. B, it also means that he isn't, strictly speaking, in the right, and as far as he's concerned, the world is black and white. He's the good guy, Nafumi's a bad guy, and the monsters need destroying in order to save the world, and then he gets the girl, i.e. the princess, and they all live happily ever after. Maybe he goes back to his world, maybe he wants to somehow stay in their world, I don't know. But I think he has a very simple outlook on what needs to happen here. He doesn't want there to be complications, he doesn't want to see the world in grey, but I think the sword hero already saw the world in grey, but again, was keeping quiet, and I think the bow hero, as I said in the last episode, he was already not really against Nafumi. Like, when they re-met, he didn't really have any animosity, despite what he was accused of, and that was kind of my first inkling of, I don't think the bow hero necessarily believes this, and I don't think the sword hero does either, but I think they're both smart enough to know that siding with someone who has been proven by the kingdom to be a rapist is not the smartest thing, especially given that they have to fight monsters. They don't want to be in the same position Nafumi's in, and if they're wrong, and he actually did do this, then they probably don't have any sympathy for him anyway, so it's a really difficult position to be in. I think, in my opinion, this was kind of the push they both needed, and because they've both stepped in, Spear Hero, like I said, is now in a really difficult position because he doesn't necessarily know what to do now. I mean, they've all disappeared. I thought they were going to stick around and actually talk to the shield hero, to talk to Nafumi, but they haven't. You know, I really, really am curious as to what's going to happen next. I know DeeBeeGeek was really excited to hear my thoughts because of how right I was, but I literally have no clue what's going to happen next. There's going to be a big shakeup. I mean, the royal house is definitely not going to like the fact that the bow and the sword stepped up on the side of the shield, and that in turn meant that the spear had no choice but to back down. They won't like the fact that Raftalia basically spoke out against them. And yeah, they brought in like all the bigwigs, like the king, the pope, which was a bit weird. You know, they literally made this a spectacle. They wanted to see the shield hero fall, and you know, they want to make him suffer for whatever reason. And it completely backfired, and you know, slowly the royal court all kind of like filed out in silence because it was like, what do we do now? Go, 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 go! You know? But I think the common folk, you know, they were saved by the shield hero, just like Raftalia said. Regardless of why Nafumi thinks he did what he did save those villagers because they needed saving. You know, he can sit there and say that's not why I did it. It totally was why he did it. You know, in the heat of the moment, he does the right thing, regardless of how he then later justifies it to himself or to other people. You know, he's always done the right heroic thing to do without trying to make it look to everybody else like he's a hero, which, in my books, is what an actual hero is. You know, he doesn't care if there aren't going to be statues built to commemorate his name. He saved people's lives. That's what he's there to do. And you know, he even said in episode 3, why do I care so much about this? Why am I actually risking my life to save these people? I don't know them. It's like, well, exactly. Right there. That's a hero in a nutshell. Like, you know, I know that there's the famous quote that 99 times out of 100 a hero is someone who is just hungry enough and cold enough and desperate enough not to give a damn anymore. But that also kind of applies to Nafumi. He really didn't have any other option, and what did he really have to lose? You know, everybody else had already turned on him, he had nowhere to go, and when he was at one of his lowest points, that's when he bought Raftalia, and yes, he did originally only see her as a tool, but obviously as time went on, regardless of what he thinks, you know, he helped her without the curse. You know, she said that he only used the curse when she was too scared to fight, which was true, but when they fought the monster in the cave, he stopped the order and told her to leave, because, you know, it wasn't working, and then he basically gave her like an actual inspiring speech and basically said, you know, that's what I need you to do, but if you can't go, I'll buy you some time, run, because there's no point in both of us dying. And she rose to the occasion of her own free volition at that point and killed the thing. And from that point on, they were a unit. You know, she called him Nafemi after that point, and like I said, she doesn't think of him as the master, she just calls him boss, and it's just one of those really interesting dynamics. I mean, it's now been broken because even though she is going to stay with him, she's no longer his slave, so there isn't that underlying element. They now can just be close friends. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting going forward to see how this episode is going to change everybody's relationships, because it can't carry on as it was at the start of this one. Maybe there won't be any direct consequences. Maybe we won't even see the other 3 heroes now for a few episodes. But I think at some point, this episode will have consequences and it will have a ripple effect on other people. So I'm real excited for episode 5 next week, man. I don't know exactly how long I've been talking, but that's really all I've got. This was such a good episode. I don't know what else to cover. It's just all comes down to those final moments for me. The duel was fantastic. The build up to the duel was very charged emotionally, I want to say. Like that's the theme of this entire episode, and it's so gut-wrenching and emotional. I just saw while I was filming the DeeBeeGeek put out his own reaction, and he said he's never been so angry. Like well, there was anger in there, but for me it was just almost depressed on behalf of Nafemi, like when he was asking if people saw that she cheated, because it's like, I know for a fact they're not going to say that, dude. You know, he really hasn't grasped how much people are against him. You know, he thought, yes, people hate him, but surely everybody's going to step up and speak to him, but nope, no one did, not to begin with anyway. And it's just so heartbreaking, man. Like, oh man, there was definitely anger there, but he is in such a poor position, or at least he was, and it's just so heartbreaking, you know? And when Raftalia hugged him, man, and she was like, I'm not going anywhere, I meant everything I said, slave or not, I'm still yours, essentially. You know, she needs him. And I was like, no, yeah, I'm broke. I can't function anymore. Any kind of meaningful commentary has gone out the window, man. Damn that raccoon girl. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy Shield Hero, please let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to hear what your guys' reactions were to this storyline. Please, if possible, don't mention anything that's going to happen in the future with spoilers, because now that I've seen a few episodes, I'm beginning to notice that there have definitely been things in previous comments that I do class as spoilers. Yes, they might only be minor spoilers, and yes, they might be things that everybody who knows anything about Shield Hero knows, but I deliberately don't know anything about the shows that I watch, so that I can talk about them and react to them as blindly as I can. But with that said, I still want to hear your guys' thoughts, so don't worry about it too much. If you let stuff slip, that's understandable. It's just so many people were trying to tell me why Raftalia had changed, and it's like, this episode explains it. I'd much rather have just found it out through the episode. Like, I appreciate people trying to be helpful, but yeah, I don't mind not knowing stuff. I have said this multiple times in other series. So yeah, if you're new around here and you don't know that, I am completely fine not knowing stuff. It makes theorizing much more fun, even if the answers are only a Google search or a manga/light novel read away. I will still prefer to wait, unless it is a series that I'm actually actively reading. So yeah, with that said, if you're new around here and you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do so. Please consider it. It would mean a lot to me, and I would highly appreciate your return viewership. I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of Shield Hero, and you never know, there might be some other anime on the channel or other topics that I cover that have nothing to do with anime that you might enjoy as well. So without further ado, I'm going to end the video. As always, guys, my name is Psycho Gold, and I will see you in my next one. Psycho Gold, out.